Welcome back, guys. Coach Casey here to give you the whiteboard breakdown for April 16th. So for today's workout, for your equipment, you will need a jump rope for the Metcon, a dumbbell, kettlebell, or if you do have a nice little home gym set up and you do have a barbell, that is an option later on for our strength. To start off with our warm-up, we are going to have 3 rounds of 5 different exercises. For these exercises, since we have 3 rounds, I want you to think about progressing the difficulty after the first round. So for the first one, we're gonna stick pretty basic with body weight, and then I'll give you options for the second and third round to increase the difficulty. So for our first one, working at 5 reps here, we have a pike push-up. So this is just like a handstand push-up, but just taking weight off. So my head is gonna go just above my fingers, and then press back towards my hips. So I should be creating a pretty straight line here from just above my fingers into that tripod position, and then pushing away and locking back out into pretty much a down dog. For our next one, we have Cossack squats or side lunges. So we're going to get in a nice wide stance. Think about this leg as a squat. So if I were to bring that other leg in, it would look just like a squat. I'm gonna drive off that heel, stand back up, and switch sides. Okay, you're gonna do 10 total there, so 5 per side. Then we're moving on to just regular squats. So 15 regular squats on that first round. You can always bottom out, rock on the ankles a little bit. Just whatever you're feeling, you can kind of push into that a little bit deeper on those squats. In the second and third round, you can add your dumbbell or kettlebell, just to add a little resistance to it. Then we're moving on to our core exercises. Our core exercise, we have side plank. So side plank, shoulder in line with the elbow, squeezing my glutes here. If you wanted to make it a little easier, you can put one foot out in front, or that other foot can stack and drive through that heel. We're going 20 seconds per side. So 20 seconds on the right, flip over, 20 seconds on the left. Last one we have, we're gonna start to practice our jump rope. So first round, jump rope singles, and then second and third, either knocking out your double unders if you have them already, or working those 2 rounds as practice to see what we'll be doing later on in the workout. All right, guys, we're moving on to our kettlebell or dumbbell ladder. We also have a barbell portion, an option for you, which I will go over right after I do the kettlebell complex. So the kettlebell complex is made up of 4 different movements. We're gonna start at 1 of each of those movements on my right side. Then I'm gonna do all the movements on my left side for 1. Take about a 30-second to 90-second rest on those early rounds, more like 30 seconds. Then when I increase everything to 2. So I do all of them, 2 on the right side, 2 on the left. Then I start to increase that rest a little bit as I get to 3, 4, 5. I continue to work my way up the ladder until I fail at a rep. So if I can't get one of those movements without failing on it, then I'm gonna stop at that ladder, take my rest, and then work my way back down. So if I get up to all the way up to 6 and say I don't get my press, I fail on a rep at 6, then I do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and work my way back down the ladder. Okay, so for our movements, we start off with our row. Okay, so I'm going to hinge, and in this hinge position, I'm more like in an RDL. I'm going to pick up that bell, and from here, I'm gonna do my rows. Okay, so if we'll just say I'm at 2, I do 2 rows. From there, I'm gonna get the bell back down to the ground, get myself into my clean position, and then I'm going to clean the bell into the rack, and then right back down. So 2 cleans, into 2 squats, and then into my 2 presses. And then we're putting the bell back down. I switch sides, and I do the same thing on the other side for 2 reps all the way through. Okay, so for the row, make sure our back is flat, elbow stays nice and tight to the body. For our clean, the bell should stay close. I'm using that hinge or deadlift to aggressively push to the ground and get that weight up. Squat, as always, keeping the knees in line with my toes and keeping my chest up. And then for my press, engaging my glutes, and then trying to keep my fist above my elbow as I drive that directly over my shoulder. Okay, if any of that stuff gets out of place because the weight's too heavy or the reps are too high, or we have to rest too much in between any of those movements, we'll call that a failed rep, and then take our rest and work down a lat. For our barbell today, we are going to be working on our squat cleans. So every minute and 15 seconds, you are going to do 5 squat cleans at 65% of your 1 rep max, okay? These are going to be touch and go from the ground. So we're starting on the ground, we're coming all the way up into a big plank position. I'm really taking off through my hips, and I'm trying to catch it at the bottom of my squat. Right when I get done, I stand it up, come back down to the hips, tap, and then I go right into the next rep. Okay, so touch and go for 5 at 65%, that should be doable. As we're warming up to that weight, if you know that you can't do 5 consecutive touch and go, just bring that weight down a little bit. Okay, we have 7 rounds, so after you finish your 5, you should have about a minute, maybe a little less than a minute to rest, and then adjust your weight accordingly. If you went too light, too heavy, you have 7 rounds to kind of move that weight up or down. Moving on to our Metcon. This one is gonna have 3 rounds for time. We have 3 exercises, and this is pretty straightforward. We have 100 double unders, 21 thrusters, and 15 burpees. So 3 rounds, so this one should move pretty quickly. Our options, we have our double unders. Think about with your double unders, how you're gonna pick your scale if you don't have 100 in the tank, to either break those up in maybe 50 double unders and 50 singles, or if you wanna manipulate it in another way of just getting a few big sets of double unders, whatever you reach, and then finishing out the rest with singles. Or if you just wanna work on your singles today, you can just do 2 times the singles. I did create a video that I will post in SugarWOD that you guys can check out. If you're still in that zone of singles to double unders, that'll help you get there. Next one we have is that 21 thrusters. So if we were using a barbell, so remember, thrusters are in our rack, full squat, press overhead, back into the rack. Okay, we have 21 of them. So thinking about our weight selection, if you have a bar, that you can at least get it done in 3 sets or less. Hopefully you could do that in 2 sets, and then maybe on the second one, that's where you start to get a little fatigued and you maybe have to break it up into 3. But thinking about that for your weight selection, don't go over 115 for our guys and then 80 for our ladies. If you have 2 dumbbells, we're shooting for 50 and 35 and below for our guys and girls. For our single arm, if you only have 1 and it's kind of light, I want you to do a little bit more than the 10 and 10. If it's a 50, we can just do 10 on one side and then 10 on the other side. If you have something a little bit lighter, I would increase the reps maybe to 12 to 15 on each side, just to make it a little bit more difficult, since we don't have the resistance to make that hard enough like everyone that's doing heavier weight. Right after we get done with the thruster, we're hopping on to that burpee. The first 2 rounds of those burpees, we want to take it pretty methodical and just make sure that we're moving and we're not taking big rests there, and we're just getting down, standing back up. Once we get to that 3rd round, that's the last thing we got, punch it home and then sprint that bad boy until you can call time. After you finish though, got a nice little cool down for you. We're just gonna do pigeon, 2 minutes per side to get those hips. So 1, yeah, right there. Holding for 2 minutes. So set a timer, relax into this position. You can get all the way down to the elbows. Remember, every day after our workout, we're trying to do some kind of cool down. We don't have that drive home anymore, so we have some time to do mobility and work on some of our weaknesses. All right, guys, have fun with this one.